entrance of the hive to throw off the guard bees and calm them down a little bit. You don't need a lot of smoke, just a few puffs. And then we're going to take our hive tool, wedge it in between the lid and the top of the box and pry the lid off. We have bees on the underside of the lid. They're drawing out some burr comb there. Usually I'll just give this a tap over the box where I'm going to put them. I'm not going to do that right now. I don't want to make them mad right now. So I'm going to gently set the lid down. So now we need to place the new box in the exact same spot as the nucleus. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to set it aside. Well, remember the entrance was right here. Now we're going to take this box, put it right there. Okay, so I'll take one of these out. We're going to put the bees in the middle, so we have some empty frames on the side. And to make it easier to put those in, I'll just leave one frame out for now. We'll put that in last. All right, so the next thing I want to do, we had the feeder tray. This space here is where the feeder tray was. We don't want to leave a space like that in the beehive, otherwise they'll build comb on it, like we've seen them starting through here. They would eventually fill all that up and then you'd have a mess to deal with. So, but I took the feeder tray out yesterday before I moved them. I'm going to pry this frame out into that space before I lift it out. That way it won't smash bees when I take it out, especially the queen. Okay, so we'll lift this straight up. And now I'm going to look at this. The first thing we're going to look for is I'll notice that we have capped over brood. Here we have some capped over drone cells. You'll see some of the cells that are built out a little further than others. That's drones in there. Typically there's a drone cell. Then ones that are flatter and a darker color, those are workers. And then the caps that are over these cells on the corners, that's honey. So you'll see the difference between the lighter colored caps with honey, the darker colored caps with brood underneath. The lighter color, because it's pure wax, they want an airtight, watertight seal on the cell of honey. Hi. And also on the brood, they want to breathe. That pupa's got to breathe in. So they've mixed it with some other material. That's why it's a darker color. All right, so now here I can see already, I can take a guess right now. Do you think we have a good queen? So far it looks good. We have capped over brood, and can you see in some of the cells in the middle you can see larvae. They're white. Yeah. All right. Those are older. We don't see eggs yet, so at least we know that we had a good queen about a week ago. We can gather that much. Let's see what's on the other side. Okay, so the other side of this frame, there's not really any drone cells, but we're seeing a pretty good pattern in the center of that of capped over worker cells. Okay, and I do see eggs. So the older larva is near the edge of the capped over pupa, and then it goes progressively younger and younger and younger. You can see where the queen has laid eggs in those out and out and out further till she got to the sidebar. So right next to the sidebar there's eggs. You come in a few cells. Can you see it? This is dark.
Larva.
So you see smaller and smaller and smaller larvae.
Yes.
Right, and then there should be eggs. We're going to take another one out. I'm going to pry this over. Use your hive tool. Yes. Move it over. Yes. You can tell when you need some more smoke. The bees will all be lined up looking at you. They're not bad right now. Just a few puffs, that's enough to scatter them. I don't want to give them too much smoke. Otherwise, if we're trying to find the queen, she's going to be running around. All the bees will be moving too much. It makes it difficult for us to spot the queen. So just a little smoke's enough to keep them calm, move them out of the way. Let's put this one back in. And I'm going to put these in the same order. So this one was on this side. the next one I'll put them back in the same order. You don't always have to do that in a bigger colony, but for now we're going to leave the brood chamber the way we found it. Okay, this one's pretty heavy. We've got, I don't see eggs in this one. What I do see is capped over honey on the corners. And then I see in the brood, in the middle I see brood. And then I'm also seeing in some of those empty cells quite a bit of pollen. You see in there, there's some yellow. Pollen can be different colors. Yellow, red, orange, sometimes black and purple. You see it? Okay, that pollen, that's the amino acids, that's the proteins for the baby bees. That's why it's near the brood chamber. Okay, now on the other side, I think it's about the same thing. Pretty much the same thing on the other side. These will build on the other side of the frame, pretty much the same. Honey on one side, honey on the other, brood in the same location in the frame. Okay, so I'm going to take a quick look on this for the queen now. I don't suspect she's on this frame. She might be, but there's pretty much all the space has been used up. So I don't think the queen will be hanging out on this frame, but let's give it a quick look to see.
Because she'll be somewhere where there's room to lay eggs, is that what you're saying?
Right, she's going to be on a frame where there's room for her to lay eggs. So I don't see her immediately there. Let's set this one in. And look at the next one. Okay, so this one, we can see where the brood, there's been one round of brood that's hatched out already. So there's a lot of space, a lot of open cells, empty space in the middle. Same thing on this side. So I would suspect this would be a likely frame where I'd find the queen.
The eggs in there, that's good.
So let's have a look.
Can you?
See her? That's her, right there. You got her. Yeah, she's on that frame.
Can you tell by the movement of the?
Longer and different looking.
Yeah. So her head is about the same as the workers. Her thorax is kind of bald. It's kind of a shiny dark spot on top of her thorax, and her abdomen's a lot bigger and longer. Okay. So let's put in the rest of the frames now.
How did you get them to go from one box to the other? Because mine still is pretty full in this box and on the top.
Oh, there'll be leftover boxes, bees in there, and he'll show
They're
you
getting
what.
started on that big frame. So you'll watch. So remember, when you come in here and look in here about a week from now.
Right.
Okay, so they were on 4 frames. They had pretty much drawn out. This one had a little space, foundation, and they were just starting on that 5th one. So we'll see what their progress is like a week from now, 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now. They should be about out to here. When they're drawing frame out on number 9 and 10 or 8, then it's time for another box. Take one of the frames out, not necessarily the middle one out of the brood chamber, the frames out here will have honey. Take one of these honey out and swap it for one, and we'll put another one of foundation here, this one in the next box.
Is your tiny button?
And then just tie it.
Put your other frames in. Let's do this. So rather than slide it right next to these, there you go. Put it in there. Okay.
And then you have plenty of steam
Now,
in case you're 200
we got to get the rest of the bees in there. If you're careful, we'll just do this. We're going to start to make a Right, so
Oh, he just tapped it.
I was careful not to smash bees. I did it on the edge where there weren't any bees. Do it on the ground, then you won't. Then you don't bang my boxes and lids on the corner and mash. So be careful. There. All right, and then set this aside. Otherwise, they'll smell that and the wax. They were just there. They'll go back on it. Let's do the same thing with the box here. Right in front of the hive. You'll dump those out. Set your box a few feet away so they don't want to go back in. Now all I have to do is put the lid on. Right, and there's your, look at your entrance, your little groove, that goes in front and down, okay? Slide it on. Yeah, if you slide it on, the bees will move. Let's do this. I like to do this. I'll just touch it on a corner where I know the bees aren't, and then I'll kind of give it a little bit of a wiggle, sort of give them some warning to get out of the way so they don't smash bees when you put your lid back on. Now we just let it sit there until just before dark, let all the bees crawl back in there, fly back in there before we move it.